G'day viewers, Buck's Gas Garage again. Today we've just got a little quick video on doing a oil change on the 1966 Mustang. It's, as said previously, 289 V8. It has been souped up a little, ported and polished heads, roller rockers, hypo cam, and today we'll just do a quick run and go through a quick oil change because tomorrow we have a track day with my club. So use a lot. I use the engine armour 15W40 for the little 289 that we have here, and I just find that it seems to have no use of oil between changes, which I normally do about every 5,000, and yeah, basically use Ryco filters or whatever's available. Repco filters at the time I found none to be better than others. So generally when I'm putting the oil filters back on, I'll give them a slight smear with new oil on the seal, just to make everything easy on the seal when you're screwing the new seal in. As you can see here, again I've marked the oil filter ready to go in. At this stage I still believe that the best thing is to get the car as hot as possible without obviously overheating, and leave the oil to drain as long as possible to get any oil contaminants or swarf or anything out of the engine. So in doing this, I think I normally leave it draining for about 2 hours roughly. Generally, after I've put probably about 4.5 litres in the engine, I'll check the dipstick and just see where the level's sitting at. This stage it probably won't have filled up the actual filter itself, but I always just check rather than overfilling. And as we can sort of see there, we're just under full, but there's probably another half a litre to go in. And then we'll start the engine, give it a run, check oil pressure and go from there. Alright, now we've got all the fluids topped up to full levels. We'll give her a start and make sure that oil pressure gauge comes up. Pretty good at the moment. Oil pressure is actually quite high on this engine. It was rebuilt probably about 6,000 miles ago, so the oil pressure is very good. Even at idle you can probably hear the auto choke is taking over a little bit. She's idling a little high, but oil pressure appears to be very good by the looks of the gauge. Again, the gauge is just a bit of an indication, but it seems to be pretty good on this vehicle. Old gauges can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. As you can hear, there's a bit of a cam in the engine there, but the oil pressure still seems to be staying high, so we'll shut her down, check check the oil, check the levels again now that it should have filled the filter, and we're nearly done. So usually when I'm doing a service, normal oil change, I'll check all the other items on the engine that could be an issue, especially with the track day coming up. One will be power steering fluid level there, which we can see the levels looking pretty good, well over the top of the pump. This is the old original style power steering setup that's on this Mustang, and it's a little bit vague in the feeling. Other things to check will be the radiator and the level. With these old Mustangs, normally you have to run them down fairly low. Looks a bit rusty up the top there, but that's only just a bit of residue. We'll give that a slight top up. What I normally use is Newlon 7-year coolant. I find that this performs pretty well in the Mustangs. Obviously on this engine we've got cast iron block and cast iron heads, and normally it has a cast iron manifold, but this one has an aluminium intake. That's probably about the level with an old Mustang with an original style radiator that you want to fill it up to. It's a little bit hard to see there, but if you overfill them, you'll just find that the overflow pipe here, you can see that running down there, she'll just end up pouring out all over the ground. So the idea is not to fill them full, because you'll just waste coolant and it'll end up everywhere. The battery itself checks out. You can see the green indicator there, not a particularly old battery, this one. The other thing we want to check is the fan belts. These fan belts are probably less than a year old. They're all tracking fairly true. Obviously power steering belt, check the tension on that. Everything looks pretty good there. Obviously hoses and so on, check the clamps on the hoses. And also there has been fuel leaks in the past. This is a Holly 600 carburetor that has on here with auto choke and back secondaries. The car was not driven for a long time, and of course the seals in the carburetor had dried up, but a couple of new seals and everything seems to be back in working order. No engine oil leaks that are obvious on the engine. Heater pipes there at the moment. This heater's disconnected in an interesting way. It actually has a marble that you can see just here to block off the heater, because on these early Mustangs there was no heater tap. So just another little interesting fact. Another thing, I won't pull the cap off, but I have checked it. This is the brake booster that this Mustang wouldn't have come with. This is an aftermarket brake booster. And it obviously makes braking much more efficient. This one actually has disc brakes under the front of it. Bit hard to see here, but they are slotted rotors and basically a very similar design to the XF Falcon front discs and calipers. Apart from that, check all wheel nuts, check the tail shaft and so on. So these are just a few of the items when I'm doing a general service that I check. I'm sure there's plenty of others, but these are the main ones. A few other items that I check just while under the car. As you can see, this has the standard Mustang front suspension in it, but it has the Kingspring KFS 14s with a Coney adjustable shock absorber in them. These seem to handle quite well. Some prefer Bilstein shock absorbers, just depending on your ride height and so on, but these springs and shocks seem to be generally not a bad setup. So she's all serviced and ready to go now for the track day. Everything seems to be looking good. She's sounding pretty good. this is just a little bit of a kit that I normally put together if I'm going to a track day. Obviously the Mustang's got a reasonably good boot in it. I just find these are the general items that people tend to fail with on the track. So what I've put together, the little kit that I normally take on a track day, is one is a little 12 volt air compressor. It has a little toolkit, knife and pliers and so on in it, as well as a couple of plug repairs. Also a torch, extremely handy to have if you've got a few niggling problems underneath. A small toolkit of various tools. These include, pliers, screwdrivers, there's a little ratchet set in there and so on. Just general tools for tightening up pipes, radiator hoses, or if you have to adjust fan belts or anything. Just a small kit comes in quite handy. Extra engine oil, extra coolant, and also a jump starter pack. You'll be surprised how many people flatten their battery at a track day, especially when you're doing multiple runs, multiple starts. Alternators can tend to fail and that sort of thing. So this is just a small kit that I normally take with me to the track, and generally it gets other people out of trouble. Thanks very much for watching today, and tomorrow should be a great day down at the track. Now that the car's all ready to go with its oil change and a quick check over of the brakes, radiator fluid, power steering, everything should be good. So look forward to a good day tomorrow, and we'll see you on the track. So please like and subscribe.